What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2025 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Now, I made a video a couple months ago talking about the things that I hope that they change on the 2025 Outback when that officially comes out. And here it is. They didn't do any of those things. In fact, they didn't change it at all. Well, that's not entirely fair. They did change a few things. Let me tell you what those are real quick. Buckle up. The Limited trim gets upgraded with a power sunroof, a heated steering wheel, driver attention monitoring, an 11.6-inch infotainment screen with navigation. The optional XT package, which is what we've got here on the Wilderness as well, has the 260 horsepower, 2.4-liter engine. We now can get that on the Limited. Wait. No, that can't be right. That's not it, is it? Otherwise, the long-running Outback continues largely unchanged. When they introduced the new 2025 Subaru Outback. One big thing that I would love them to add is a panoramic sunroof. But we'll have a new one coming out once we get the 2025. Talking about the difference between the two is an obvious one. This always changes, but it's the body line. It's kind of a selfish one. I would love to see them add a hybrid option to the Outback.
It's a total fabrication.
Realistically, in 2025, we're going to be getting an entirely new Outback, and I'm very excited about that.
It never happened. It's false. It's fiction.
Well, let's just go ahead and talk about it, I guess. So yeah, the Wilderness is not any different here for 2025. In fact, the only trim that received any noticeable updates is the Limited trim. So if you wanted to get the 2.4-liter turbo on the Limited, you can now. But here on the Wilderness, all the features that we had on 2024 carry over here to 2025. So we've got the same headlight design here. It's a full steering responsive LED headlight kit with some nice kind of intricate design details, both on the inside and on the design on the outside. It does have high beam assist also. You've got your extra bolstered cladding that we get here on the Wilderness that carries its way over to the front grille with all of this excess cladding, your little hexagonal style LED fog lights down at the bottom, which I love, little copper accents here dotted around. Also, if you look down here up underneath, you'll see a nice front skid plate as well. You have this really rugged front grille here also, gigantic Subaru badge, huge front facing camera here. It's a little 180-degree view there. You also have this hood decal that's supposed to not only give it more of kind of a rugged look, but also is supposed to help keep reflections from hitting you in the driver's seat. But tons of cladding down here, and I'm sure you can notice the additional ground clearance that you get here on the Wilderness. So we go from 8.7 inches of ground clearance to 9.5 inches of ground clearance here on the Wilderness trim. You also get some nice Yokohama Geolandar tires that are wrapped around these 17-inch matte black wheels, which look awesome. I already mentioned it a little bit earlier, but under the hood, you've got a 2.4-liter turbocharged boxer engine. That's one of two engine options. The other is a 2.5-liter non-turbo boxer engine. The 2.4-liter is going to get you 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, 26 miles per gallon highway, 21 miles per gallon city. The 2.5-liter is going to get you 182 horsepower, 178 or so pound-feet of torque. Don't get that one. I know this is a turbo, a little bit more unreliable. Get the turbo. Get the turbo. The 0 to 60 goes from like 8.5 seconds to like 6 seconds. You gotta get the turbo. And now you can get it on the Limited. So again, more of that bolstered cladding that runs up around the wheel wells here, works its way down, goes a little bit higher on the door panels here and on the back door right here, as you can see. You've got your little copper Outback nameplate at the bottom here. Your beautiful Subaru Wilderness badge here on the door panel. Matte black mirror covers with integrated turn signals. They're heated. They've got blind spot monitoring built in, but they are manual folding. Subaru's award-winning EyeSight Driver Assist system up here, and this is the advanced EyeSight Driver Assist. This one does have a power tilting and sliding moonroof, and then you've got these raised ladder-style roof rails here with your little copper contact points here, and these can support 700 pounds of static load. Black window trim around the windows here. You've got tinted rear glass for both panels here, and then you've got keyless access on the door panels as well with the little two lines right there. The paint color we have here is ice silver metallic, and I think it's a really nice contrast with these little copper accents. Basically all the colors you can get on the Wilderness look really good with those copper accents, but you know, if you're a silver fan, you're gonna like this. All right, so moving back here to the tailgate of the Outback Wilderness, you've got some nice sculpted taillights here with your little black cladding around the outside. These are not LED taillights though, but they do look nice. Got some reflectors here. All of this bolstered cladding in the back with your copper contact points, some ultrasonic sensors, a rear view camera as well. Powder coated badging. I prefer this. Subaru goes a little overboard with the badges, but I like that they're powder coated. Subaru badge, symmetrical all-wheel drive badge, Outback badge, and Wilderness badge. You know, again, way too many. and of course the Subaru badge in the center. Rear spoiler here, but this back windshield kind of sticks out really far, so you're gonna need this rear wiper. Thankfully you've got it. Tinted rear glass, a little bit of some black cladding here on the sides as well. It kind of mirrors all of this accent down the side, which I think looks really nice. And then you've got dual exhaust tips on either side, and of course a power liftgate here. Inside of the rear gate here, you've got a cargo net. You've got your all-weather floor mats here, including one for the back that has your Subaru Wilderness badging on it, which I love. 12-volt outlet back here. You've got these levers. You can drop your second row seats. You've got a cargo shade here with this little one-touch feature that will let it slide up for you. You've got a pocket on the right side. You've got your Harman Kardon speaker system back here. And then of course, up underneath the floor, you've got a little more underfloor storage, but you get access to another full-size Yokohama Geolandar spare tire. That's great. And all your tools are back here as well. Now with your second row seats up, you get about 33 cubic feet of cargo space. If you want to use the levers, pull these, drop those second row seats down, you're going to get about 76 cubic feet of cargo space. So plenty of storage space here in the Outback. Let's hop inside. All right, so hopping here inside the cabin of the Wilderness. Again, unfortunately, no major changes here. Actually, maybe fortunately, maybe you love the look of the Subaru cabin and you don't want it to change, but luckily for you, it hasn't this year. But let's just cover everything that you get here inside of the Wilderness. So soft touch material on the top of the door panels, and then you get kind of this textured plastic bit, which I really like. It's better than gloss black right here on the sides. Then you've got a StarTex synthetic-y leather material on the sides of the door panels and on the armrest of the door panels with some copper accent stitching, and then plastic all the way down after that from about knee level all the way down on all the doors and then the center console as well. So you have more of that soft touch that runs across the top of the door panel, more of that kind of faux leather with the accent stitching, more of that textured plastic across the dash. It all looks really clean, rugged, easy to care for, which is what you want in something like the Wilderness. We do have a heated wrapped steering wheel here with some accent stitching, copper accent in the center. You've got all your media controls on the left side, all of your adaptive cruise control with lane centering on the right side, paddle shifters as always, and then light and wiper stalks behind the steering wheel. Some vents over here on the left, and then really you don't have that many controls down below. You've got your Harman Kardon speaker here, and then you've got your trunk height button, your wave to open sensor button, and then your brightness control for your little driver information cluster past the steering wheel. Now, speaking of that, you've got 4.2-inch driver information cluster past the steering wheel. It's a full color cluster. You can see your adaptive systems, what gear you're in, odometer, all that kind of stuff. And then just 2 analog gauges on either side, but you do get some nice Subaru Wilderness branding on those. And then you get a nice little copper ring around them, which just kind of helps tie everything together. I think it looks nice. Couple vents over here next to your massive 11.6-inch Subaru Starlink infotainment display. I've made so many videos on this display. I'll have some of them linked down in the description if you want to check those out. It's going to have pretty much all your modern amenities. You've got navigation built in, radio, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, wireless, phone connectivity, My Subaru connectivity, so you can control it with the app, do remote start and things like that. Auto vehicle hold, valet mode. You've got access to your different cameras, so you can look at your rear view camera like that. Not really the best quality, but it's there. Then you can push your camera view button here, and that will show you your 180, oh my goodness. Your 180-degree front-facing camera, which I hope your eyesight is pretty good because it is difficult to tell what you're looking at through that camera. You've got your dual-function X mode up top here, so you can switch between normal, snow and dirt, and deep snow and mud. You can update your favorites, all kinds of good stuff. I've actually made a secret features video on the Outback, so I'll have that linked below. If you want to really know all the features that this display is capable of, check out that secret features video. But you've got a dual-zone climate control system here, so individually adjustable driver and passenger temperature, and then you can sync those up if you want to. Past the display here, you've got more of that soft touch leather material with some contrast stitching. And then this whole center area has my least favorite thing in the world, which is gloss black plastic. Fortunately, it's a pretty small area, but it is, again, one of your most contacted points in the car, which just doesn't make any sense. But here we are. Electronic parking brake, push to start engine button. You've got where you could option on a wireless charging pad. This one doesn't have one, but you can get that. One USB-C port, one USB-A port and then a 3.5 millimeter aux jack. Again, that camera button is here. Then you have your shift knob for your Lineartronic CVT, which has the little copper accent around it, some gloss black plastic up top, and then more leather accent trim with some accent stitching underneath. 2 cup holders with these little removable pucks for easy cleaning. And then this 2-part center console here, you can lift up one side, get this flat little pocket. I always think of putting like rewards cards for restaurants and stuff here, business cards if you're into that. And you can pull this up and get access to a 12-volt outlet and a little pocket. Not too much storage, but you do get that extra outlet, so that's nice. And then a traditional glove box over here as well. Up top, like I said, your EyeSight driver assist system. You get a little sunglasses holder, your sunroof controls here, some LED dome lights right here, and then you've got your auto dimming rear view mirror. It has universal HomeLink garage door controls built in, and then your compass as well. Now, as far as the seating surfaces go, these are Subaru's StarTex weather repellent seating surfaces. I actually find these pretty comfortable, even though they don't, they're not supple like a leather seat would be. They're kind of more protective, but I actually find them pretty comfortable. So you don't have any perforations down the center, obviously for repellent purposes, but you do get this nice textured bit on the sides, some contrast stitching, Subaru Wilderness badging on the headrest. The driver is a 10-way power adjustable with 2-way lumbar. Passenger is an 8-way power adjustable seat. Both are heated, and then both outboard rear passengers are also heated. Alrighty, hopping here into the second row seats. A couple things stand out. One, you've got some really nice legroom back here. I had this seat pretty far back as a 6'1" driver, even more so than I'd probably drive at, and I still have 3-4 inches rear legroom. You've got like 3 map pockets on each seat, a big one, a medium one, and a small one. You've got rear vents, which is always great to have, even in a vehicle this size. Heated outboard seats, like I mentioned, 1 USB-C, 1 USB-A port for charging. You've got handles back here, hooks, door materials get a little bit worse here in the back, but it's not too bad. You have automatic rear windows here, so. Center console that folds down here to give you 2 extra cup holders in the back. You do have one on each door panel as well. And then these seats actually recline a little, so there's these handles on the sides here. Grab those, lean the seats back, get just a little bit of extra comfort, which is always welcomed. Decent volume back here, plenty of space, plenty of storage. The only real downside is going to be this middle seat because of this big hump in the floor here, but if you can ignore that, put a small child here, you should be good to go. 3 kids, no problem. 2 adults, they're going to be comfortable back here. All right, let's take the Outback Wilderness for a little test drive here. So I've got my kind of jerry-rigged setup today. Don't have all my cameras with me, unfortunately. So we got the little camera on the full-size tripod. Completely unnecessary. Total overkill, but it's what we've got, so we're gonna make it work. So I've been driving the Outback Wilderness around for a little bit, and of course, coming from daily driving a sedan and then coming over to an SUV that has this type of ground clearance, it's hard to get used to, really. Not that there's anything wrong with it. You may be completely used to this ground clearance, but for me, I feel like I'm in the sky right now. Got a lot of ground clearance. That's one thing I definitely notice. And again, I'm going to emphasize, get the turbo if you can. I know people have some issues with the reliability of the turbo versus the standard boxer engine, but I'm telling you, if you want an Outback that's more fun to drive, you have to get the turbo, just the way it is. And this is the same engine that I've asked, begged, and pleaded with Subaru to give you on other vehicles, because this 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque would be so much fun on the Crosstrek. But maybe, we'll see down the line. But here on the Outback, it's still plenty fun. You know, it's not gonna throw you back in your seat or anything, but it's got enough oomph to really get you going. And I'll display that here in a sec. Give it a little. Oh, the traffic. It was gonna go. It picked me up. There is that delay though. You've got a little combo delay of the CVT and the turbo. You put that pedal to the floor and it just goes. But while we're just vibing here in traffic here, we can talk about some of the things that I really like about the Wilderness and the Outback in general, and some of the things that aren't my favorite. Let me start with the things that I really like. I've always been a big fan of the design of the Wilderness trims. All of them, really. The Outback is no exception. I love the copper accent, the contrast, the hexagonal fog lights. Those are really awesome as well. I'm just a really big fan of the aesthetic overall. I think it looks really nice. Number 2, I really find these seats comfortable. Now, I seem to be a little bit temperamental with seats. Sometimes I find them really comfortable, and other days I'm like, ugh, these aren't comfortable. Maybe that's just my old age. It's one of those things where some seats just really do it for me and others don't. For some reason today, these Subaru StarTex seats are really hitting for me. Prop to Subaru. I'm gonna go ahead and put this lumbar support out a little bit, give me some extra padding, but they feel good, super comfortable. Just wish they were ventilated, but I understand why they're not. And for number 3, I really like the visibility outside of the Outback. I think you get just a massive front glass. You really don't have any significant blind spots. The A-pillar's decently small. It's not super small, but enough to where you don't have any crazy blind spots. Pocket window even to give you a little bit of extra visibility. So the visibility out the front window and out the back window is really top notch here on the Outback. Now let's talk about three things that aren't my favorite. First and foremost is this Starlink system. Talked about it in many other videos if you guys have seen that. If you're new to the channel, my issue with the Starlink system is not that I think it looks hideous or anything like that. I actually think it looks okay. It's just the functionality is not there. It's so laggy, it's so stuttery, it's just really a difficult system to use. It's not fun. It doesn't add to the experience. In fact, it takes away. And I think Subaru, it'd be really worth their while if they would try to improve, whether it's the processor behind the screen or if it's the responsiveness of the touchscreen. Whatever the case may be, really put some serious time and effort into this screen, because I think it's a downside of Subaru right now. The second thing that I have to mention is the camera quality on the front-facing 180-degree camera and the rear camera. It used to be, back several years ago, kind of more on the edge of good camera quality. And since then, it's just taken a nosedive. I think they've had the same camera system for probably like 5 or 6 years, and you just can't do that in 2024. Camera progress is always evolving. It's always getting better and better. And to have some of the worst quality cameras on the market on Subarus that pride themselves on safety, it's really disappointing. And the third thing is kind of a me-specific thing. Maybe you guys agree with me, but I just don't like having analog gauges. You know, I get that it's time-tested, don't fix what isn't broken, that type of stuff, but I just prefer having digital displays, more customization, more clean layouts and things like that. I like that option, and with analog gauges, you just don't get that. There are no Subarus that have a fully digital display except for the Solterra, and that does not count. I'm not holding my breath, but I would like to see that, and I talked about that in my features I'd like to see in the 2025 Outback, and here we are. But once we get up here, we'll get a little bit of an acceleration test here. I feel like I've just been in bumper-to-bumper traffic here this whole time. We got to get to the highway as well. But as far as handling, like, you definitely notice that increased ground clearance here on the Wilderness specifically, and you do feel like you're kind of a little bit less connected to the road, but you do have that added ground clearance, so you don't feel the bumps and the imperfections in the road as much, because you have that more tuned off-road feel that's supposed to dampen some of that, which you could definitely feel for sure. But that does make it to where you feel a little bit less connected to the road and a little bit more kind of swimmy. It's not too bad, actually. Yeah, it's not too bad. But let's come to a stop here and get some acceleration. All right, pedal to the floor. You can see how long it takes, right? I don't know if you heard the little click when the pedal hit the floor. We can test it off this stop sign. See how long it actually takes before you start going. All right, pedal to the floor. I'd say that's a good 3 seconds before it starts moving. Once you're actually going, it's more responsive, but off the line, it just takes a little bit for all that to kind of kick in. But once you're going, like, you can actually move. You can hear the little turbo. I'm sure you could get a much faster kind of launch with the paddle shifters, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. So once we get here on the highway, we'll test out the lane centering and the adaptive cruise control. It works pretty well, and it's great for highway traveling just to kind of make it a little bit more relaxing of a drive. I wish I had more good news for you guys, that there were all these new features here in 2025, but unfortunately, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they didn't really do much with this model year. So maybe we'll see some big changes next year. You know, we saw how the Forester got updated for 2025 when it got that refresh. I'm expecting that the Outback will follow suit with just nothing too drastic, just a little bit of change here and there, kind of reworking some of the front fascia design and some of the interior materials, but I'm not expecting some really drastic changes. Subaru just doesn't really do that. It's not their style, and I know that's not their style. I just kind of like to pick on them about it. They stay true to their ways, and you know what? It's worked for them. Who am I to say that they need to do all this different types of stuff? Our store sells a ton of units, so they obviously know what they're doing. But just as someone who, you know, looks at the market on the whole and sees kind of how these other companies are progressing technologically, feels like Subaru's kind of lagging behind a little bit. Like I mentioned with the infotainment and the camera systems and some of the design aesthetic and stuff, it just feels a little bit dated at this point. I'd like to see them kind of take some steps and maybe change it up a little bit. And we'll see if they actually end up doing that. I'm not holding my breath. But as far as the Wilderness trim compared to the other trim levels, it's about $44,000. So it's not quite the most expensive, but it's up there. I think it comes with some really nice upgrades, right? Getting that turbo engine, getting that increased ground clearance, getting that more rugged cladding, getting those special fog lights that look really nice, getting those ladder style roof rails with that huge static load capacity. You get a lot of nice features for the price of going up to the Wilderness. So if you're someone that enjoys camping a lot, needs to carry heavy loads, wants to put a tent on top of the roof, and likes that increased ground clearance for trails or light off-roading, I wouldn't do anything crazy with this, then I think the Wilderness is definitely one to check out and pick up. And again, you have tons of options to choose from. The Outback obviously is going to have the most cargo space, the most passenger volume, but if you want something a little smaller, go look at a Crosstrek or a Forester. Definitely some good options out there. Alrighty, let's get her on the highway, get her going a little bit, and try out our adaptive cruise control and lane centering. Alright, adaptive cruise is on, lane centering active. So you can see it kind of turning the wheel for me, keeping me in dead center. We've got a little wind, so it's kind of fighting that a little bit. We've got our speed set. And it's slowing me way down to keep me away from this car in front of me. It wants me to keep my hands on the wheel. I'm on the wheel. And it's slowed me way down. I'm going 54 right now in a 65 because of these cars around me. If I increase my distance even more, it's slowing me down even more. Change my distance back down. This car's going very slow on the highway. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the lack of upgrades here in 2025 for the Subaru Outback Wilderness. Are you going to pick one up? Are you going to wait till next year? Maybe they change some things. Let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be among the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.